So, now that the Paramount era has officially kicked off, we've had a few events now, and things are going great. I'm very happy with the new UFC bonus system, and the meta Apex is bigger and better than ever. That's my favorite. But today we're talking prospects. Now that we're going into the first quarter of the UFC this year, there's a lot of new prospects that need breakdowns on them, but today we're simply going to be diving back into tier lists. This one was highly requested, so we're going to dive into it. We've got a week break until Strickland, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, so I figured we would bang out another tier list for you guys. We're going to go in order of weight class from flyweight all the way up to heavyweight. This is my personal list of who I think has a real shot at cracking rankings, getting main events this year. Who is the most underrated, though? Who will reach the top 5? Who will reach the title? There could be a couple future champions even in this list, so pay attention. And just remember to comment your tier list suggestions down below. These aren't off the table yet. Now that we're back into the ebb and flow of UFC fights, I'll still try to get these done where and when I can. And when it comes to the flyweight division, guys, I really have nobody to speak of. Loner Kavanaugh does come to mind because he did just get the Brandon Moreno main event in Mexico, which should be an awesome fight, by the way. They're both phenomenal strikers. It's just, I don't really even know yet about Loner Kavanaugh if he belongs in the rankings. He's still coming off a KO loss to Charles Johnson. So we'll see, I guess I'll include him on the list. He is a devastating striker. Most of his nasty KO finishes are on regionals, though. And his big accomplishment was, getting dapped up by Ilia Topuria and, really, he gave his praise to Kavanaugh, but then Kavanaugh proceeded to get knocked out in China by, the Energy. So yeah, a bit of an aura loss last time out, but he could really level up his career if he's able to go out there and just have a bloodbath with Brandon Moreno or land a knockout. That would really catapult his career. So maybe we will include him on the tier list. Loner Kavanaugh, the sole prospect of flyweight. There are other names, of course, like Joshua Van still feels like a prospect in my mind, but the dude managed to get the title already because of how active and hungry he is, so I can't really include him now, can I? Kyoji Horiguchi, on the other hand, I refuse to call a prospect, even though he's sort of on his second run now, on his way to the top 5. Kyoji Horiguchi is already a 40 pro fight established veteran. I just can't include him on the tier list, so we're going to go with Loner Kavanaugh for our flyweight division prospect pick of 2026. Charles Johnson honestly fell short, getting starched by Alex Perez. That was so sad to watch. That was only a few weeks ago. But keep an eye on Kavanaugh, because if he beats Brandon Moreno, he is going to shoot up these flyweight rankings. I think we'll rank Loner Kavanaugh B tier because he does have a very, very important main event coming up here against Moreno. And if he's able to win, the amount of ranking spots he will have just skipped coming off a knockout loss, that's monumental for one's career. So he will effectively just gone from being knocked out from Charles Johnson epically in China to beating a former champion in Brandon Moreno and leapfrogging the whole flyweight division. So I think B tier is a fair spot because I think the fight's close, but a very big career opportunity for him. His back is against the wall. He's hungry. He's determined to get this win, but is he ready? Up next is the Bantamweight division, and I only have one name that truly stands out as a soon-to-be dark horse, soon-to-be superstar. You guys already know, it's Payton Talbott, without a doubt, rebounding off of his first professional loss against Raoni Barcelos, who, look, the odds makers completely disrespected him and made it seem like Payton Talbott just lost to a complete layup bum. Not the case. Raoni Barcelos is cooking through the bantamweight division himself. Look, with a less exciting style than a Talbott, heavy grappling onslaught. Beat Ricky Simone, though, great win. It's actually Talbott who has exceeded him in the bantamweight rankings. Some will argue getting a gifted shot against the retiring Henry Cejudo. I still argue that is a very, very tough matchup for anyone. And Payton Talbott made it look easy. Too strong, too athletic, prime athlete, Payton Talbott. His wrestling is really sort of melding well with his other MMA skills now. It used to be a bit sort of janky, his wrestling. He was getting taken down, but now it's all starting to flow quite well. And I think that loss to Barcelos leveled Talbott up tremendously. Nobody goes in there and just takes down Henry Cejudo, rocks him all over the place, and wins by 30-27 decisions. So incredible rebound year for Payton Talbott. His 2025 started rocky, but ended very, very strong. And now that Mario Bautista is, knocking on the door of the top 5, I think Talbott actually takes the title of the new bantamweight dark horse. We had fans bringing his wrestling into question because he lost to Barcelos. Guys, Barcelos is a fucking BJJ coral belt, alright? So there was no fraud check, there was no red flag. It was a phenomenal performance by Barcelos, who is, look, a prospect in his own right. I just refuse to include a 40-year-old on this tier list. I won't do it, but look, all respect to Barcelos, he's doing his thing. But Talbott is the younger guy, going to be in the sport for longer, and is one of my personal favorites. So he's going S tier, zero bias, only raw logic here on the channel, guys. No, for real. I was really impressed with how Talbott took that Barcelos loss and leveled up his wrestling. You saw that right away against Felipe Lima and into the Henry Cejudo matchup. That was an awesome 2025 for him. That couldn't have gone better. Now it's time for 2026. We'll see if he takes 2 fights this year, but he called for a striker, so we'll see what route they take with him. Maybe they go sort of this Sugar Sean O'Malley route with Talbot and propel him to superstardom. Maybe he gets like a Bautista, Yadong, Sandhagen, something like this. People will say it's undeserving, who gives a fuck. But I'm also fine if they just take a more traditional route with Talbot, he'll get a step up against Cejudo. Now he's got to defend his spot a little bit, get somebody below him. Totally fine with that as well, but I think we get a Payton Talbott KO this year. I see that in the timeline for him. I really do. He's had to deal with wrestlers in the last few fights. Now he's going to really excel, I think, and land a highlight reel finish in 2026. So he makes S tier in my prospects tier list of 2026. All right, up next is 145, the featherweight division. We have multiple names to discuss, okay? It's actually quite loaded with names. Let's start off with Kevin Vallejos, set to take on Josh Emmett in his first official main event coming up. This dude is a savage, alright? Dana White Contender Series performance against Gene Silva at like 20 years of age, 21 years of age is fucking insane. Taking on Gene Silva, that madman, when you are still a bit of a boy in your MMA game. Kevin Vallejos has done nothing but impress since that moment. Kevin Vallejos, that real low center of gravity, patient, calculated boxer, marching forward. Just a tank of a man, a tank of an individual he is. He doesn't let being the shorter fighter affect him one bit. He still closes you off, cuts the cage down, and bombs you out. He's one of these new guys that's going to be sort of a mainstay in the next generation of fighters. Once the old heads pop out, it'll be Kevin Vallejos running this damn thing, alright? So it'll be interesting to see how he approaches the Josh Emmett fight, because we know Emmett. You don't play no games with Emmett. One-shot knockout power with Emmett. You get to make no mistakes, all right? There are holes in the game of Josh Emmett that you can exploit if you're technical enough. So we'll get to find out if Kevin Vallejos can take that route, or if it turns into like this risky slugfest. So crazy main event that goes down in the Meta Apex. Get Kevin Vallejos in front of a crowd, for Christ's sake. Where does he rank on my prospect tier list of 2026? This will be an interesting one. We'll rank him A tier. I'll be picking him to defeat Josh Emmett, but I don't know how far he goes after that. Featherweight is shaping up to be very risky as well. Kevin Vallejos still has to pass a bunch of tests. He's got to get through some gatekeepers, but it all starts here against Josh Emmett. Up next is the undefeated newcomer, Luke Riley, fighting out of Next Generation Liverpool alongside Paddy Pimblett. Aggressive young buck, 9 KO wins out of his 12-fight career, 11-0 in Cage Warriors. Now he's made the transition to the UFC. No Dana White Contender Series appearance for him. Straight into a Fight Night show where he dispatched of Bogdan Grad by just a nasty left hook, spun the jaw of that bald fuck Grad, put him out, put him down, and now he's matched up against Michael Aswell, who is a Texas gunslinger, lots of volume from Aswell. They have a co-main event going down at UFC London. 3 5-minute rounds of all action, all boxing, so Luke Riley has a tough test on his hands, but I think he's going to excel in 2026, alright? He's furious, he's ferocious, he doesn't let wrestling or grappling slow him down. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, maybe he is just a bit of a Cage Warriors can crusher, 11 fights he had in Cage Warriors. Against not the best competition, let's be real. I've never been that high on Cage Warriors. Some good talent comes out of there. Let's just say Luke Riley is very, very dangerous and capable, and is going to have to learn on the job here in the UFC. But there is a chance he gets a privileged, rapid rise due to Paddy Pimblett's influence. We'll see how it goes. He still needs to prove that he belongs, but what I see happening for Luke Riley is a couple devastating KO wins or TKO finishes against unranked featherweights, and they shoot this man up the division like you've never seen. He's got a fun and dangerous style. He's got this sort of youngster, superstar aura in the making, and I think he could become something really, really special. Undefeated record, like I said, Cage Warriors product. We'll see how far he can take it. Maybe one or two bumps along the road for him, but I predict a pretty flawless 2026 for Luke Riley. He goes B tier for me because the next few opponents of his probably aren't going to be, the most talented. His next opponent, Michael Aswell, is, nothing special in my opinion. He fought Lucas Almeida last time out, and he was allowed to fight with a broken hand, so he essentially fought a cripple and won. I know he's been here longer, but Luke Riley is definitely a step up, and they should give us a good striking battle, but one that I think Riley prevails in, gets his finish, and then we see him skyrocket through featherweight. Up next is the colorful Malik Wiesel Costa. This guy's one of my favorites since he debuted, I believe on short notice, losing to Moises, but he's picked up some serious fucking momentum. Other than Steve Garcia, he has been cooking through this division, and now he's set to face Dan Ige in the co-main event of this Houston, Texas card in just a couple of days. Not a lot of wasted movements, he's not the flashiest out there, but he is devastating when he lands. We saw that last time out when he head-kicked Morgan Charrier, completely unconscious, in the Apex. Didn't get a performance bonus. Corrupt, terrible, awful. Fucking shame on you, UFC officials. Get this man some bonus. That was one of the best KOs of the year, and you sent him home with just a win bonus. So Costa's great. Pure striker, big featherweight, gonna do great things here. He's a personal favorite of mine. He's going to go B tier. He is going to go B tier. He has a loss. I don't think he wrestles all that nicely, but when it's a striking affair, this man cooks. Check out some of his fights. He absolutely cooks. He's got the look. He's got swagger. He's training partners and boys with Joe Anderson Brito. They have absolute gym wars that you need to check out. Moving on up to 155. Another sort of dark horse kicking around. Chris Taco Padilla. This dude came out of fucking nowhere, and he has aura. He has that red bandana on, coming in looking so composed on the feet. He's got an interesting build. He's got these skinny kickboxer legs, but he's a burly dude, a lot of durability, and he's tactical. He's really patient. He's calm, composed. He doesn't get reckless. He's not a brawler. His strikes are really, really impactful. He blew up the face, smashed the orbital of Rongzhu. One of the most gruesome injuries of... That may have been 2024, may have been 2025, I'm not too sure, but Chris Padilla's on the rise, man. Beat Ishmael Bonfim last time out in a really impressive fashion, broke him cardio-wise, and won like an attrition-based TKO. He can actually put a pace on you as well, so... What does this man not have? He sets a high pace, he's composed, he's smart and technical. Chris Taco Padilla, ladies and gentlemen. Probably a name not many of you have heard before. He's just sort of been on these smaller shows, Apex shows, but dude's a warrior. Had a close one with Jai Herbert, that was a bit of a red flag, but still undefeated in the UFC. He's a guy that nobody talks about and deserves some shine. On my tier list, I haven't forgot about you, Chris Taco Padilla. Chris Padilla's good, and I want to give him some props here on this tier list. Somebody's got to go D tier on this tier list. He hasn't really had the most spectacular moments as of late, but he's doing everything correct. You can't ask much more about this man. He's doing what he's supposed to, banking these wins, making the UFC record look nice and clean and tidy. I expect him to have sort of like a Waldo Cortez Acosta rise, where like he just comes out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this guy's actually like 6-1, 7-1 in the UFC. Where's he been all this time? And then all of a sudden he's in like a main event. Now it's time I include a pleasure watch. Mason Jones is one of my favorite fighters of all time. This technical boxing from the Welshman. Mason Jones has to be my favorite Cage Warriors fighter. He is 12-0 in that promotion, just out-brawling everybody. Mason Jones, the Dragon. He is one of the... If you want to watch technical brawling, you put on some Mason Jones. His fight style is just so beautiful to watch, man. Take one to give one in every sense of the word. He will outdog you. He will out-durability you. And he has a slick ground game. He made some mistakes in his first UFC run. Don't get me wrong. You know, people sleep on him for that reason. Lost to Ludovic Klein, lost to Mike Davis, and he got cut from the promotion, but he's back with a fucking vengeance, man. Outbrawled Balaji Oki, beautiful, like, judo throw in that fight. Fucking amazing. He will be getting a breakdown eventually. He's one of these guys that I don't care if he doesn't reach the top of the sport. Again, he's lightweight. It's a Shark Tank. Will he reach the rankings in 2026? I don't think so, but we'll see. I'm still gonna tune in to watch him fight every single time. Apex shitter, pay-per-view, wherever he's at. I'm tapped into the career of Mason Jones, the Dragon. Especially if you're new to watching the sport and you don't really understand, you know, like intricate wrestling and grappling positions and even some striking, like all the little intricacies of stance switching and all this sort of hardcore stuff. Watch some Mason Jones. He will teach you MMA just by watching his style. I'm serious about that. He doesn't set the highest pace. You know, he just cruises along and technically outdogs you, outbrawls you. Mason Jones army for life. Bow down to the Dragon. He goes C tier on this tier list. He makes the cut. His parents own a bakery. Up next is Quillan Salkilld. You already know he has to be on this tier list, alright? The man on everyone's mind. The perfect start to the UFC. You could not script this better. Phenomenal little battle with Gage G-Money Young on the Dana White Contender Series. Quillan got signed, not even getting a finish, just displaying his skill set and winning by unanimous decision. Got him a contract, and he's done nothing but just catch bodies so far. The Anshul Jubilee KO, next level stuff, guys. You know, the talent out of India doesn't play around. So Quillan had his hands full here. An instant KO in like the first 10 seconds. That got the hype train rolling, but then the Nasrat Hakparast head kick was just the stuff of legends, man. We don't see people go out that bad. That was a clean power head kick right to Nasrat's temple. And I don't think he'll be fighting anymore. That was one of those KOs where Nasrat didn't wake up for like another 10 minutes after that moment, alright? He is so technical with his wrestling as well, and his takedowns. He sort of reminded us of that with his neck crank submission win over Jamie Malarkey that wasn't too long ago, that's fresh in everybody's minds. So Quillan Salkilld, gambling addict, how far is he going to go in this sport? Because, you know, we've seen prospects before, especially if you've been watching the UFC for a while, that debut in just spectacular fashion. You know, they're really a level above the bottom feeders of their weight class, and it's easy to buy into this hype of just first round finish after first round finish, but Quillan's different. There's something about him that just screams martial arts maturity, and I can't really put my finger on it. I think he's way more intelligent of a martial artist than he really leads on. I think he plays the character a little bit, likes to have fun on camera, his social media, but I think this dude is very, very serious, taking his career here in the UFC very, very serious. So will the performance bonus checks get to Quillan's head, or is he really meant to thrive at 155? Should his name be in the discussions with, like, Rufy, Benoit Saint Denis? Like, is Quillan ready? Is he at that level? I think he can get real close to it. I don't think he'll go undefeated, but the momentum he's on right now, the win streak, the quality of win streak he's on is incredibly fucking impressive. So it's tier list time. Where is Quillan Salkilld going on my personal prospect tier list? He slides into A tier so nicely for me because not only is he catching bodies, creating moments, banking finishes, the hardcore fan in me is also so appreciative of just his level of MMA fight IQ coming right off regionals. He doesn't have that many pro fights, and he looks like he belongs in there with the best of them. So Quillan Salkilld, we have a lot more to discover about him in 2026, but he's getting things off to a great start. Was supposed to fight Rong Zhu, and people were upset about that. They really want Quillan to get that push into the rankings, but They're slow building him, and I love it. I think this kid's going to turn into a machine at lightweight, and he's well-rounded. That's what I love about him. It's not like he'll get brutally fraud-checked in a specific element of MMA. From what I see, the kid's well-rounded, he's deadly. Can't wait to see how he improves and becomes a mainstay at the lightweight division. Okay, up next is welterweight. This is a tough one. The hardest difficulty of UFC weight class right now has to be 170. Jacoby Smith. It's Jacoby Smith. Look at this man's physique. Look at how fast twitch he is in some of his fights. He looks like a better, fresher, younger Jeff Neal with wrestling and grappling ability. Keep an eye out for Jacoby Smith. He made a big splash when he debuted. Just a pissed in round 1 KO over Preston Parsons, a blockhead. KOs him instantly. This guy's hands are some of the fastest I've seen at welterweight in a long time. I know Jack Della Maddalena is regarded as like the best boxer of welterweight for his like combo work, his body work, and just sort of like technical boxing savvy. Jacoby Smith, don't sleep on him, guys. The hand speed is fucking ridiculous, paired with the athleticism. This guy is going to make a splash. He had a weird close one with Nico Price. Look, Nico Price is washed, yes. He can make fights goofy and awkward and weird, and that's what that fight was. No more bottom feeders, please. Get him tested. Do not, waste people's prime giving them layups and, building them for your company, UFC. Get them moving along if they're just starching all the layups you give them. Same with Ateba Gauthier, please. Rankings are next. Even Jacoby Smith, get him in those rankings, or get him a Jonathan Mikalev matchup, right outside the rankings, because they deserve it. Jacoby Smith is going A tier because he's done nothing but impress so far. I recognize how much of a physical beast he is. I know it's welterweight. It's going to be hard to climb this division, but I do think he's ready. And here's another surprise entry in the welterweight division. Miktibek Orolbai, the prehistoric finisher, fresh off of his one-shot knockout win over crafty man Jack Hermansson. Who does that to Hermansson other than, the RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez? His timeline dates back to, the prehistoric era, but he's got a complete MMA game, and he's working with Faber now, his grappling's on point. Only one UFC loss, an absolute gunfight with Polish Giga Chad, Mini Fridge, Mateusz Rebecki, where he got his orbital fucking shattered, and he battled through that shit like a warrior, so earned my respect there. I knew his bag of tricks was deep, but now I know he's a real warrior. He will grit through any amount of adversity in pursuit of the victory. Look, Miktibek Orolbai is going far at welterweight, that's all I can say. MMA is nothing for him. He's hunted woolly mammoths before, just look at him. Probably just taken out saber-toothed tigers by spear. So, in all seriousness, great takedowns, really good sub-arsenal. Probably going to slime out Chris Curtis by KO or get his back, choke him out. He goes B tier because he did decide to move up from lightweight to welterweight. Not really sure what he was thinking there. Maybe needed an easier weight cut. I won't doubt the man and his methods. He knows what he's doing. Trust him. Just look at that. So Miktibek Orolbai, sexiest man in the UFC, hot prospect at welterweight. You'd be a fool to think this man isn't capable. Up next, we got the big boys, and let's talk about Joe Pyfer, alright? Yes, we all like to clown on the Salt and his pretty pathetic loss to Jack Hermansson, where he was, technically outpointed and couldn't land a big KO blow on Jack Hermansson. Something that Orolbai lays claim to, but what happened? What went wrong with Joe Pyfer there? That seemed like such a layup for his first main event, and it just didn't go too soundly. He claims he was sick during it, but man, has Pyfer impressed after that loss. Starching Marc-Andre Barrial, destroying Kelvin Gastelum. Thank you for that, Pyfer. It's been beautiful. He's cooking, Pyfer. And now he's matched up with Israel Adesanya for the Seattle card, the Seattle main event on March 28th. And so maybe Joe Pyfer needed to lose to Jack Hermansson to really get ready for this main event, which is, there's a lot more on the line against the declining Adesanya. That's still incredible name value on the record of Joe Pyfer, so if he can go out there and defeat Izzy, he's a player in this middleweight top 10, top 5, and I think he can get it done with grappling, but he's pretty useless out at range, doesn't have a good calf kick, isn't a creative striker really, but he packs just life-ending power, so He'll be shooting into close range on Israel Adesanya, clinching, wrestling. I actually think Pyfer is ready for top-level competition. I think he'll put in 2 good fights this year and bank 2 wins. Probably Adesanya and like Robert Whittaker. Those are my predictions for Pyfer moving forward. Out with the old, in with the new. Pyfer's ready, comes from a good grappling gym. He can defeat a few of these kickboxers with his wrestling game, man. All I'm gonna say, Pyfer is a Hulk in this division. He's going B tier, Joe Pyfer. I think he's not getting the respect he deserves as a contender at middleweight right now. There's a lot of fighters that I see him actually beating with grappling and his strength, so Joe Pyfer is making my list. But enough wrestling and grappling talk, let's talk about some good old fist fighting. Mikhail Alexiejczuk is a new and improved fighting nerd, and for a long time now, he's been sort of known as this unk crusher, you could say, just beating up on old fucks, old geriatrics. But if that's how you gotta learn and grow through your MMA skill set, so be it. Like, I think we finally see him go on a win streak just by being technical. I think he's good enough to win decisions over good technical fighters. Like, I can see him beating an Abbas Magomedov. I can see him beating Edmund Shabazian. He's got great durability. Like, we're talking Polish Giga Chad, iron chin. He cannot be knocked out. He actually has great cardio and a great boxing flow, great volume. And what he was really lacking, in my opinion, was just that next layer of fight IQ. So it's good that he's, linking up with the fighting nerds. Same with his brother. His brother also fights in the UFC. What a weird, unexpected collab, though. Like, Alexiejczuk brothers from Poland, Barky Poland out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, teaming up with the fighting nerds, this MMA super gym. Sign me up, alright? I'm a believer. Mikhail Alexiejczuk is going to go on his first win streak ever in the UFC. It seems like he's been here for like 7, 8 years in the promotion, and he's finally gone on more than a 2-fight win streak. I'll put some stock in the guy. I've watched him forever. His fight style is phenomenal, and I think he's finally becoming more well-rounded and technical. So give it up for Mikhail Alexiejczuk. We'll rank him C tier. We'll see how he does at middleweight. I think a few more wins are coming, but please stop matching him up with geriatric old fucks. Like, no more Andre Barrios, no more GM3s. Please give him someone around 30 years of age. No more, like, old age pensioners with broken bones, brittle bones. Please just start giving him tough tests, because I think he's ready for them. Up next, light heavyweights. I want to talk about Bogdan Guskov, because a draw with Jan Blachowicz where you drop him and nearly get him out of there by TKO finish is very, very underrated, okay? I was kind of a Guskov simp. Since he debuted, he is a marauder out there, to say the least. A really unique but dangerous style of his hands low, thunderous knockout puncher. Looks like the evil twin of Anthony Smith who can actually fight. Bogdan Guskov I'm a big fan of. Maybe the Jan Blachowicz fight was a bit too soon for him. You got to kind of see that, how Jan battled his way back and made it a draw. Jan Blachowicz is not an easy guy to outstrike, let alone drop to the canvas, and Bogdan Guskov was on his way to getting a TKO finish. All I'm going to say, Polish power prevails, doesn't get TKO'd. Jan is forever underrated, we all know this. But put some respect on Bogdan. I don't see a whole lot of 205ers with the same kind of potential as him. Yes, there's Azamat Murzakanov, that drug cheat, but, I was coping heavy thinking Reyes could repair his little thing and really build up that win streak, but no, the same issue is there, that durability, all the injuries. I can't include a guy like that on this list. It has to be Guskov. Bogdan Guskov is going to go C tier because he probably won't enter the conversations of, Pereira, Yuri, Ulberg, Roundtree, but like Johnny Walker, Dominic Reyes, he's going to have a field day and KO these guys. So Bogdan belongs in the top of light heavyweight. We'll see what he gets done in his violent future. And up at heavyweight, there's only one man on my mind when it comes to prospects, and that is Josh Hokit, the Incredible Hoke. Dude, this man is on a marketing rampage right now. He's playing a good character. He's crafting some nursery rhymes, and like maybe there's a rap battle in his future, but But look, man, when it comes to fighting abilities, Josh Hokit is a demon, man. He's a lighter heavyweight, you know, he's about 220, 230, skinny legs, skinny arms, but he's got fast hands. Have you seen this man hit the pads? And he wrestles like a demon. He wrestles like Colby Covington. I'm going to take credit for deeming him the heavyweight Colby Covington. I'm taking credit for that. We did that first. We spoke it into existence. I was tapped into this man's Dana White Contender Series performance, so I know what I'm watching. We've said that he's probably going to be a massive favorite and go on a crazy win streak until he reaches, you know, the top 10, top 5 of heavyweight. He's already calling out names like Waldo Cortez, doing skits about all his Dominican babies. Just Josh Hokit's unhinged, okay? Completely unhinged. This guy's going to be probably even more vulgar than Colby Covington. He's got nothing to lose. He's got a brand to build. Josh Hokit is coming. People can call it corny. People can call it whatever they want. This guy's a good fighter out of Jackson Wink, but he's also bringing in some personality, some aura, just giving us a reason to care again. Heavyweights should act this way. Heavyweights should make you care, not only with their like knockout power and fighting abilities, they should make you care with their aura. So Josh Hokit is bringing this WWE presence to the heavyweight division, and I'm a massive fan because I know he's got the skills to pay the bills and get him up to the top of heavyweight. But now it's like he's giving us the gift that is his promotion, his self-promotion, his hilarious unhinged character that he plays. So Josh Hokit is going S tier, believe it or not. I'm tired of boring fucking heavyweights. This division needs some spice, needs some flavor. And if Josh Hokit's going to be the guy to bring it and really level up the heavyweight division in this Paramount era, I'm a fan. The company's going to be a fan. They're going to give him that, push. They like when you bring personality to the sport. So, Josh Hokit, you have my blessing. Please continue your rampage of spewing vile trash talk and making rap battles and rhymes on your downtime. It is phenomenal what you're doing here, good sir. That concludes my 2026 prospects tier list. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment down below and give me suggestions for new tier lists in the future. If you guys keep wanting them, I will keep making them. And what did you think of my choices for today? This is my personal list of who I think has a real shot at cracking rankings, getting main events this year. So what do you think? Will they succeed, or will they be brutally fraud-checked and make me look like a casual? And my violent friends, that wraps up today's video. Hope you enjoyed. As always, thank you guys for watching. We got big breakdowns coming in the future, so stay tapped in. Make sure you're subscribed. Check out predictions, and I'll see you all real soon.